am a dialogue master. All right, y'all, say it with me. No, no, and no. Did I hear chicken lips? I said no. You guys know it, right? Now, I know this is not true, and I'm not talking about the chicken lips. This became so true to me, how it's not true, when my husband and I took a vacation last summer to Yellowstone National Park. Now, if any of you have not been to Yellowstone National Park, what you may not realize is that you spend a lot of time in the car. Not because the park is so big, but because a lot of people are stopping along and looking at the animals and getting out of their car and taking pictures, and it often causes a lot of traffic jams. Well, my husband and I got stuck in one of these traffic jams as we were trying to make it to go see Old Faithful, the geyser that goes off every day at 2 o'clock, hence the name Old Faithful. And we were stuck in one of these traffic jams. And as we're watching the clock tick by and thinking we're going to miss this amazing sight, there was a camper behind us that was honking his horn at us. And he kept honking his horn. And I'm looking to my husband saying, this guy can't go anywhere. What the heck is he doing? And I'm finding myself getting more and more upset as he keeps honking his horn. And then all of a sudden, it has the audacity to pull out behind us and start moving to the other side of the road to try to pass us. I mean, he can't go anywhere. And without thinking, I went ahead and pulled out my finger, and you can imagine which one it was. Now, let me be clear. I don't typically pull out that finger when I'm driving. I mean, at least not that they would see it, but the worst part about it is my husband looked at me and said, Amy, do you realize that was an ambulance? And that wasn't the horn, that was the siren. Yeah, I just gave the finger to the people who are trying to go and save somebody's life. Who does that? I mean, I might as well have just, gave the birdie to a bunch of students on a school bus waving at me. I mean, really, who does that? And then I thought to myself, but Amy, you're a dialogue master. How did this happen? And what I've realized out of my 15 years of teaching this amazing, amazing material is that this small pea-sized shaped nuclei called the amygdala, often referred to as our reptilian brain, is often bigger than we are. And the problem is that because you and I teach these skills, we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And so when we fall hard. And we forget that even though we teach these skills, we love these skills. We try to model these skills, that even when we're trying to be our best, our biology doesn't change. And so what I have learned is that maybe these skills aren't trying to be the perfect dialogue master, because we can't. We won't, we're human. Maybe what we're learning here is how to be the master of recovery. Because when you care enough, where the skills come into play is how to go back and recover. And so the 4 strategies I'm going to teach and go over are the 4 strategies to become a master of recovery. And those 4 strategies are the following. The first is to accept it. To accept it, to recognize, you know what? What you resist persists. It's going to happen. Once you've done that, don't go it alone. Reach out. There are people there who can support you, and many of the people are in this room. Third is where the real work comes into play, and to apologize. And then finally, to own it. So let's talk about the first skill of accepting. Accepting is starting to recognize how you typically respond when you get hijacked by your amygdala. Now, for me, the first place that I go is the place of being self-righteous. I go to the place of, how dare they? I bet that camper knew he looked like an ambulance. In fact, that ambulance knew it looked like a camper, and I bet they actually wanted to go see Old Faithful themselves. They actually probably made their siren sound like a horn. And then very quickly, I go to the place from being indignant to the place of beating myself up, telling myself what a horrible human being I am, and how can I even possibly teach and model these skills. And from there, I go to the place of overcompensation, where I made my poor husband drive around and stop off at any doc in the box or emergency worker I happened to see or healthcare professional so I could get out of the car and thank them for all the wonderful contributions that they're making to society. And that, my friends, is how I spent my summer vacation. So once you've gone ahead and accepted and recognized it, the next is to reach out, to know that you are not alone. Several years ago, I had one of the most worst engagements of my entire life, where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I got behind on my agenda. I thought the client was a little bit farther ahead in their learnings than they were, so I got a little bit behind. I called them the wrong name. Not only the wrong name, I called them one of their fierce competitors. They were not too happy about that. I was sharing a story, and I said a word should, and they thought I said another word. I walked by the client's office and asked them about her picture that she had in her office, and if it happened to be her husband. Turned out to be her mother. Handsome woman. And then to make matters worse, as I'm driving out of the parking lot in the deck, I happened to back into the cement pole in the parking lot and damaging the tailpipe and tail light. I failed. I was a failure. And as I'm hanging out in the rental car parking lot as they're assessing the damages, and slowly crying, I decided to pick up the phone and call a friend. And I shared with him, I said, you know what, I absolutely failed. I had the most miserable day. I had the worst experience ever. And on the other end of the phone, I happened to hear this.
I have something in my pocket. It belongs across your face. I keep it very close to me in a most convenient place. I know you'll never guess it in a long, 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 long while, so I'll take it out, put it on a great big happy smile.
Yeah, so sweet. And then he said, Amy, you know you're probably never going to work again. I hope you have that Uber app on your phone, because I doubt you're ever going to be able to rent a car. And please know that this is probably going to make the front page of the USA Today. And in that moment, I knew that 1, 2, or 3 amygdala downfalls doesn't define me as a human. It only makes me human. And how cool is that? How cool is that? And by the way, the woman who was brave enough to reach out on Facebook to say she had a class that did not go as well as she'd like, you are absolutely credible to teach our stuff. Once you've reached out, now it's time to do the real work. And by the way, I love you, Dave Angel. Thank you. Yeah, who doesn't love Dave Angel, right? So this is where the real work comes into play. You recognize it. You reach out, and now it's time to apologize. Now, we teach these skills, but the real work comes into play is to understand what you are apologizing for. I am the youngest. I have 2 older brothers. The person to your left of the screen is my older brother, Steve, who's 8 years older than me. Unfortunately, he passed away 23 years ago. I was very, very close to him. My other brother, Larry, is 5 years older than me. I live in North Carolina. Larry lives in Virginia, where I grew up. Well, several years ago, actually many years ago now, Larry's son Mark got himself into a little bit of trouble. Nothing too bad, but seniors in high school who are a little bit bored and waiting for the senior year to finish can get themselves into a little mischief. And being the sister that I am, I decided to call him up and give him some crucial conversations coaching on how he should handle his son Mark, because after all, I am a dialogue master, you see. Well, as you can imagine, as I'm espousing what he should be doing, that call did not go as well as we would have liked. And we ended the call. And I'm embarrassed to tell you, it was 8 months before we talked. And every time I had the opportunity to share what a jerk my brother was, to play the ultimate victim, I did. Now, because we teach these skills, they're in front of us. We can't escape them. So after doing this, I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and, Amy, do a left-hand, right-hand column on yourself. We teach it, why not practice it? Well, for those of you who haven't been Crucial Conversations, this exercise is a marvelous exercise that helps you go back and look at the actual script, the actual conversation that you had on the right-hand side. But the real beauty, the learning comes in the left-hand side. We get a chance to review our unspoken thoughts and feelings, which is where our motives really lie. And as I was looking at my unspoken thoughts, what I realized, my motive certainly wasn't about helping him, but more about saying, hey, Larry, I'm your younger sister, but I know stuff too. Now, we know to move ourselves from those unhealthy motives, we got to be able to get that blood back to our prefrontal cortex, our thinking part of the brain. And I absolutely love this question that we teach, but my favorite part of this question, of what do I really want, is the word for. Because I think it's real easy to say what it is that I really want for myself. I want Larry to respect me and know that I have something to add, even though I'm 5 years younger. What I want from Larry is I want him to listen to me and know I have something to add. And see, what we tend to do is forget that the for is not a from. And what I really thought about what I want for Larry, I had to put myself in his shoes. And I thought to myself, you know what? This parenting stuff is hard, is it not? I mean, every day, I know for me, I question myself and saying, am I doing the right thing? Did I say something that's going to turn this child into a crazy person later on, that they're going to be lying on some sort of therapist's couch talking about me, right? I mean, this stuff is hard. And the last thing that Larry probably wants from his sister is for him to hear all the things he's doing wrong. Maybe he just wants to know he's doing the best that he can. And the other part that I love about this question, which is often implicit, is what do I want in the long term? Well, here's the deal. My father died 19 years ago, unfortunately, with many brain tumors and operations, and it's just me, my brother, and my mom. And what I really want is I want a relationship with my brother. What I came to realize is that our family, no matter how different we are, how many different values we have, or likes or dislikes, or different shared experiences, we have the same DNA. We have the same connection, which is a connection to our past, our history. I don't want to lose that. And so I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, Larry, I don't know if you recognize the voice. It's your sister, Amy. And I want you to know, I am so sorry. That conversation that we had probably 10 months ago now, I am so sorry. You are an amazing father, and I know you doing the best you can with Mark, and Mark is a great kid, and I know he will continue to be a great kid because of you. And I will tell you that we have a relationship now where I can't even imagine going through a week without talking to him. He's become one of my closest friends and allies, and who knew how much I would need them, because last October, what we learned is that my mom, who survived 33 years of breast cancer, unfortunately, the cancer came back and metastasized in her bones. And she is now dealing with stage 4 bone cancer. This is a picture of her with her oncologist, because my mom is a fighter, man. She's going to kick this thing. Now, what you may not know about Vital Smarts, this amazing community, this amazing family, when I reached out to them to let them know what was going on, the gifts, the cards, the love that they sent to my mom. Joanne Staley was at Operation Central, ensuring everybody knew the updates and keeping my mom in her prayers. And in fact, my mom was planning as of January to come out with me because she had planned to give every one of you a hug because she wanted to thank you for all the love and support. But unfortunately, the chemo and the cancer has just taken a toll on her body, and unfortunately she's too weak to do this. But this last strategy is what I learned from my mom. And Mom, I want you to know I do listen to you, because this last strategy for recovery is the recovery of owning it, owning your motive, owning your apology. When I got married over 23 years ago, my marriage came with a beautiful, sweet package. That package happened to include two beautiful stepdaughters, Claire and Rose. And while I'm fortunate enough to call their mom a good friend, and thinking how cool I was for them to be getting me as a stepmom, I mean, really, in my head, right? I was so cool, I'm carrying that 80s hair into the 90s. I don't know what I was thinking with that, but anyhow, I also know that for any child experiencing a divorce can't be easy, and knowing that dad is now marrying a new woman also means that mom and dad will probably never get back together again, and that's hard. That's really hard. And so I made it my goal that when they became part of my life, I wanted to make their life as amazing as it could possibly be. I wanted to share experiences with them that they might not have otherwise experienced them. I wanted them to be able to see the world and enjoy hiking and things that I like to do. I wanted to expose them. And I remember calling my mom up one day and saying to her, Mom, I'm doing all these things for the kids, and they are never appreciating what I'm doing. And she said to me, Amy, when you do something for another person, do it because it's who you are, not because you're expecting anything in return. And my mom, in her tough love, then said, Amy, and if you're doing it because you're trying to get something in return, you are not the woman I raised. And I thought about it, and in thinking about these skills that I've been so blessed, we've all been blessed to be a part of, I realized my mom actually has been teaching me these skills her whole life. Because the beauty of these skills, I believe, is that while these skills do help build relationships with others, where they really help us build the relationship is with ourselves. Because if we're lucky enough, when we really do the work to get our motives in a healthier place, then maybe we're lucky enough to be able to go back and rebuild that relationship or start that relationship with others. So here it is. When we think about this and when it comes to our apologies, then when you apologize, do it because it's who you are, because your motives are in a healthier place, not because you're expecting anything in return. Because here's the deal, when you do apologize, the other person may not accept it, but that's okay, because you're doing it because it's who you are, because it's who you are in the long term when your motives have been and gotten to a healthier place. So what does this mean for us as facilitators? is let our facilitators that we teach as facilitators are and participants know that, you know what? Success at Crucial Conversations doesn't mean being perfect at every opportunity for dialogue. We can't, we won't. What success means, maybe in what I've learned from a good friend and colleague, Kerr Southam, is maybe we help our participants recognize the little successes along the way. Maybe it's going to silence or violence less frequently. Maybe it's having more impact because we're on the right conversation, or maybe it's recovering from crucial conversations gone poorly because we've gotten our motive in a healthier place and we care enough about the relationship to go back and have it. I love each and every one of you for your amygdala, in spite of and because of your humanness, your humanity. And I want to thank you for letting me share mine with yours. Thank you.